Okay, today we got a very special guest on the pod. And for me, this is a full circle moment because one of the main reasons I really got into podcasting was because of one man about 7 or 8 years ago kept preaching that audio was a great way to capture attention, especially if you had a passion for something that you love talking about. And that's one of the main reasons why Cards to the Moon exists. And fast forward to now, I've got the man himself, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk, CEO of VaynerMedia, successful entrepreneur, New York Times bestselling author, and the creator of Veefriends, which we'll definitely talk about today with the launch coming up May 7th. So Gary, a pleasure and honor to have you on the pod today.
Thank you so much, my man. Really.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. One thing I forgot to mention already is that you're also a lifelong collector. So I've already heard your story before about how you made money selling baseball cards as a kid. I think one of the few people I know who made money during the junk wax era.
Well, hold on, brother.
Okay.
For the OG, how old are you?
I'm 47.
Well, I think you know that. Were you collecting in the junk wax era?
I was, certainly.
You know this. Plenty of people made money in the era.
Sure, right.
It's if you held 1,000 Mike Greenwell 87 Topps rookie cards like I did, none of that appreciated. So
yes,
I made more money on Ben McDonald and Wally Joyner and Corey Snyder and Al Leiter and David Robinson hoops and just ungodly amounts of Brian Taylor and Pat Listash and Kenny Lofton. Made a lot of money during the Bo Jackson scorecard, Bowman, Ken Griffey oversized cards. It's just that the millions of cards I kept from that didn't appreciate the way we had hoped. So we learned our lessons.
Sure. Yeah, I had Todd Van Poppel, Scott Erickson. Yeah, those didn't go up at all.
Kids, if you're listening, Todd Van Poppel was like Skeens times 4. We all feel like he was as hot as it gets.
See, it's hard to prospect even now. So there's a lesson that we can all learn from the junk wax era. But I did hear a story about how you were able to flip some of those cards, and that's how early signs of entrepreneurship then. So for the benefit of our audience, I'm wondering if you can share when you got into collecting and how long you've been in the hobby, and what kind of cards do you like to collect even now?
Thank you. So first of all, just for everyone who's listening, I'm about to obviously go on this major tour of media around the Topps Chrome Veefriends launch May 7th. And this is going to be the most fun tour of anything I've promoted my whole life. I've been doing this for a long time, sneakers and books and wine and all sorts of things. But this is the ultimate. And Clark, thank you for kicking it off for me. I don't know when all these are going to air, but this is the first one I'm doing. So
awesome.
Thank you for having me as a rookie. Eric Conrad, 3rd grade, a kid. I didn't know what divorced parents were in the early 80s. I was only, 7, 8, 9. Maybe it was even 2nd grade, but he was never around during the year, but he was always around during the summer. I didn't comprehend what that meant. It was, but he was one of my friends in the neighborhood, and he loved building card houses. I would go over his house and we'd go to his basement and we would build card houses out of playing cards. One day we run out of all the playing cards that he had, and he goes in a drawer and pulls out baseball cards. It's the first time I saw them. I grew up very poor. I didn't have many toys. We didn't really spend money on stuff. I was born in the Soviet Union, very humble beginnings. I'm huge into baseball at this point. I'm a huge Yankees fan. I moved to Edison, New Jersey 2 years earlier. New York Jets, Knicks, Yankees, Rangers out. Sports is my life. And I'm like, what is this? He's like, these are baseball cards. It was 84. Yeah, so I was 8, 9. 84 Fleer. And a mix of 83 Topps. I lost my mind. So we're building these houses. I'm like, how do we get this? He's like, we can go to a store. So we rode our bikes to Krauser's, which is like a 7-Eleven in New Jersey, Oak Tree Road. I walked in, and there was a box of 84 Fleer as well. They had Topps too, but Fleer for some reason was catching my attention. I bought a pack, took it home, and I opened the pack, and then I proceeded to take a pair of scissors and cut out the circle logos of the baseball logos of the cards, glue on them, and put them on a piece of paper. That is I've never told that story. That is my full introduction to these cards.
Nice.
About a year later, I start getting into it a little bit more. and like a little bit buying them occasionally. And then it was a year later, 86. I go to the US1 flea market in New Jersey, and my parents are buying, like my mom, my dad was working, but my mom, my uncles, my uncle, my aunt, they're buying like pickles and Russian food and who the hell knows, like a t-shirt. We were immigrants.
Yeah.
And we're going by the booths and I stumble on a baseball card booth. It changed, my life changed in this exact moment.
Wow.
They had a bunch of cards. I'd never seen that many cards in one place, packs,
Right.
boxes, singles, but they also had a price guide. It was not the Beckett. I think, this is now a memory, I think it was called CDM.
Okay.
Let me actually Google it while I'm on CDM cards price guide.
Similar to Beckett, I guess.
Similar to Beckett in paperback form, right? In like something like that. Anyway, I bought it. I begged my mom for it. It was like $2. I bought a pack of 86 Topps. I opened the pack and looked up the cards in the price guide. I've never been the same since. I now realize cards were worth money. I was already lemonade. I was very much shoveling snow. You know, if I wanted stuff, I had to make money. And it was in me. I was an entrepreneur. The next year, so now I'm fully in, and this is when cards explode. I go into sixth grade, 87 Topps comes out. As you know, that is like the iconic kids. What pre-COVID, when I got involved and in COVID was for cards in this era, 87 Topps was that moment in our era. That was when every single kid in my grade collected cards out of nowhere. There's a baseball card club in my junior high, John Adams Middle School in New Jersey. I join it, and that's it. A year later, I'm doing shows as a 13-year-old. I know every card in existence. I know what the Beckett is. I read it cover to cover. I have a very good natural memory. I can memorize prices. There's no phones back then, so I can make trades with friends where I know I'm getting a better trade. I know the values. I'm off to the races. And from 1987 to 1993, I am predominantly doing baseball card shows as my hobby and my career because I'm an F student. I basically quit all sports and I am a full-fledged maniac. And anything you want to talk about in that era, the first day I saw Upper Deck, the 90 Leaf Frank Thomas, the rise and fall of O-Pee-Chee baseball, and anything you want to, sports flicks, and Greg Jeffries' insanity and Griffey, and I lived every minute of it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Because I want to establish that Gary is a legit collector. Because from all the stories that you've talked about on different podcasts, I love that about how you're really a true collector, and as a lifelong collector of baseball cards, especially. And I think we can segue into why we're talking about Topps Chrome Veefriends. The Topps and Topps Chrome are very popular and iconic brands in the hobby. And now you have this collaboration with them. So I'm wondering,
Clark, before we go there, just knowing that the audience is your audience is more like Veefriends. Like I can do the Veefriends thing in 1 second. Very simply, friends, I'm trying to build the next Pokemon Marvel. I believe that I am incredibly capable in comparison to most. I'm also not delusional or naive. I know that it's a remarkably hard thing. I'm going to do it the rest of my life. Every day that goes by, I spend more time on it and less on everything else. And, that's that. Like 1966 Donruss marble cards. I don't know if you do this on video or if this is audio only. Good. So this Spider-Man rookie card, this would be worthless if Marvel didn't do a good job and got people to fall in love with Spider-Man. Now, if you go to eBay comps, you'll see over the last 2 years, it's getting insane. I'm obsessed with fictional character rookie cards, from Shrek to Betty Boop to Popeye to Fred Flintstone to Elsa. But I think I'm going to do it. Obviously, this is the first Chrome. We've had 2 other series in Zero Cool, which is a company that Topps bought. They were going to do their fictional stuff there. They killed it. It's now happening, obviously, in Topps Chrome. We've all seen what's happened the last couple of years with Star Wars, Marvel, Disney.
Yes.
I think everyone here would literally be on the floor flabbergasted if they went to eBay right now and typed in VeeFriends, one word, not separate, VEE friends, by the way. There's been a 4-year market. Anyone who's listening here who's been to the National in the last 3 years, even if they're very cynical about me or it, will know that my booth has always been packed.
Yes.
And so I think this, I mean, now that we're recording this at this moment, I don't know if you saw this, Clark, prepping for this, but the boxes were sold on pre-sale for $99.
I did.
$300 on eBay right now. I'm actually upset about that because I wanted this to get into as many hands as possible. As it gets more expensive, that gets harder.
Yeah.
So for everyone who's listening, if you want to jump on board what could be the next Pokemon early and get into our world, especially if you have somebody under 10 years old, VeeFriends' mission is to push positivity, but practicality and accountability. So I think it's a parenting tool, but I want it to be like Marvel. Like we have comic books coming out and some of it's very mature. It's for 18-year-olds. I plan on making films. There's cartoons on VeeFriends.com/cartoons on YouTube Kids. If you have a 6 to 12, if you have a 5 to 10-year-old and you want to get into a hobby, like a lot of us right now listening have a 5 to 10-year-old and their kid might not be as interested in sports as we are. This is a perfect boy or girl hobby. Like the best part of the hobby is doing it with someone you love, a best friend, a homie, a brother. I've had both Brandon Warnke, AJ Vaynerchuk. Collecting has been huge for me forever because I had both of them, a brother and a best friend. I have my son, but I also have nieces and nephews that are more into fantasy, not into sports. So that's what I'm trying to build. I hope everybody checks it out. VeeFriends.com/Chrome if you want to stay updated. Now, Clark, I want to go all the way back and just make this entertaining for everybody else. They don't need to hear about 95% won't care. 5% know enough about me to know they should fucking care. And they're going to win with me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see all of them. Whatnot. We're on whatnot/user/VeeFriends if you want to get into that. All right. Back to cards.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I do want to talk a little bit more about VeeFriends because I do have personal questions.
And we'll save it at the end in case some people want to bail because they're only about cards. Let me get you up to date with what I collect.
Sure.
Because my whole life was prospecting back then, because we all did that. I'm now purely vintage. And left field. So let me break that down. My son is of the age 12. He's prospecting and waxing, and so I get my fix of the gambling through him. So that's enjoyable, but it's not what I do. What I do is probably the most modern stuff I'm doing. I'm collecting Wemby. It's high risk because if he gets hurt, I'm wrong. But he's 100% the face of the league if he doesn't get hurt. Like 100, not 99. I've been DMing with him since he was 14, so I know his character. Jesus Christ, if you don't understand how good he is at this young of an age watching, then you don't know basketball.
Right.
Basketball is America's pastime now in a lot of ways. Like it's closing the gap on football, though the ratings are down a little bit. I get that. But, like the sports are much more evenly spread out now. Obviously, football and basketball are very popular, but the baseball collecting is off the charts and awesome. And Bowman's so fun prospecting. But prospecting is expensive now. When you and I were prospecting, $2, $3 was expensive for a kid.
Right.
So I don't do a lot of that. I did a ton of vintage. I continue to do vintage. I'm trying to think of I was bidding on some 61 Fleer, Oscar Robertson and Jerry West recently. On the modern part, I'm obsessed with Kaboom.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm obsessed with Kaboom. It's my favorite set. I have a very substantial Kaboom collection, excuse me. In fact, back to VeeFriends, one of the reasons I think VeeFriends is going to be a very expensive, very exciting, very collectible product is we made an insert called Erupt, which is 1 in every 3,000 packs, 13 cases. And it features 10 of our VeeFriends. The big one is Empathy Elephant, which is a monster character in our world for our collectors. Kind of like a Blastoise, like real, me too, like real high, way up there. Not number one. That's the very, 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 very lucky black cat. But top 10. But the Erupt designs were done by the original artist. So we got him. So Kaboom is something I collect very aggressively. I'm very into that set. But I mainly collect vintage. And the last 2 years, I've bought 90% of what I've been buying, and I'm buying a lot every week. And for the people who are listening who saw me out and about in 2017, 18, 19, very loud, the reason I got quieter on posting sports cards was, unlike NFTs where everyone can see my wallet and it's public domain, there was too many like gossip people on Twitter and social that were making claims about me buying Durants and flipping them. I didn't sell a single card, and I didn't want it to hurt my reputation because I know that people believe lies. And so I just stopped posting because people were like, he's posting to drive up. And I get that. I'm actually empathetic about that. I'm not angry about that. Or I get that people think that. There was just no way for me to prove that I'm buying cards like that I like. And if I post them, I didn't want to carry extra weight. So I've been more quiet about specific, but I'm very, very, very involved in like all the thousands of conversations I have at every national. I think people are surprised of how deep I'm in. It's my favorite hobby. It's been my hobby my whole life. So I collect Kaboom. But the last 18 months, I've been out of my fucking mind on fictional characters. 1940 Superman, Gum Inc. rookie. The 66 Donruss Marvel set is just insane for me. It's got Spider-Man and Thor and Hulk and Iron Man and those rookies, Daredevil. I've been buying a lot of like weird stuff like Scooby-Doo's rookie card, Fred Flintstone, Shrek, the Smurfs, like really into fictional rookie cards. I actually think it's the next big boom for our industry. I think a lot of the Comic-Con crowd will go into cards as a gateway through fictional rookie cards, which I sense is going to be a thing. And obviously, because I'm building out a fictional universe, it feels very natural. It's been fun. I also buy off the beaten path baseball rookie cards.
Okay, such as?
Burke Ross, Mickey Mantle. Are you familiar with the Burke Ross set?
I've seen one, yeah.
Yeah, so Burke Ross was the wildest story. An entrepreneur who owned a cookie company or a waffle company or some sort of confection made illegal trading cards without the rights from the teams or the players and put them in his packs and slinged them around Brooklyn and New York.
Right.
Until he got like heavily sued, but he made 2 years of it. So that's like a weird one, that I really like. I'm very into like the Jack in the Box Elvin Hayes rookie card for basketball.
Okay.
Hank Aaron has a rookie card from a company called Johnston Cookies from 54 that I like to collect. I like supply and demand, Clark.
Okay.
And I like stories. So I think these rookie cards that are not made by the official companies in that era, there's not a lot of them. It's really cool. And I have a TV production company called Vaynerwatt. So if anybody has a kid who wants to be in Hollywood and wants an internship, it's Vayner, WATT.com if you want to send a request there. I was trying to bring a little value. I think I'll make a documentary one day in my life before I die about off the beaten path rookie cards. So
that'd be cool. Yeah.
So it's very eclectic at this point because I have such a foundational collection. I'm sure everybody can resonate with this that's listening. Once you kind of scratch your itch and have your base of like everything you ever wanted to have, you start to get weird.
Right.
Because I don't want to stop collecting and chasing and flipping and like all that, even though I've kind of stopped flipping because of where I'm at, like as a public figure and what went down. But yeah.
No, I love how you just kind of take over because you've already answered like a list of 3 or 4 questions I already had, right? And even when you're talking about like we're on a kind of a boom cycle right now, I'm wondering, and we've seen some bust cycles as well. How big a factor or how much of an impact do you think trading cards will be for even your goal of growing and expanding the Veefriends IP? Like, do you see the future on a macro level of trading cards being a big thing still 10, 20 years from now?
I really love this question. I think everyone's going to head nod on the other side of this. This boom cycle we're in right this second feels like the most sustainable boom cycle I've seen since 1986. Here's why. I think this boom cycle is more similar to 87 to 90, where it's just like actually happening, meaning you had the McGuire Sosa moment with eBay just coming out. You had the LeBron 03. That was the first from 93 to 03, I was out. I got in for a few seconds looking for my Sammy Sosa common cards during that boom of that summer and eBay.
Yep.
And then I went heavy in 03 for LeBron. I was right, but I bailed a little too early before the premium products came out because I fell in love that summer and just like stopped collecting.
Yes.
Which sucks because I had an ungodly amount of Fleer base and I was going to get to the other stuff. I got upper deck, but I never got to the good stuff because I was out.
Right.
And then I didn't come back until 17. This is not a boom cycle. I think this is the new floor. I think cards are a culture forever. I think with streaming, with breaking, with podcasts like this, the media is what makes things interesting. Like this is like real, like in a different way. Like all the speculators who got hurt with how much they paid in 2021, in 23, they're gone.
Yes.
And now what we have left is all of us that actually are about that life. And that base is much bigger. The good thing is all the kids that are still in it, that maybe lost a little bit in 21, 20, they've learned that lesson recently. If you look back at what the content I was making in 18, 19, 20, 21, I was talking about speculating a little bit on like Acuna and LeBron, and maybe the biggest reaches I had were like De'Aaron Fox because I loved his game, which ended up probably not being right. But most of what I was talking about was buy vintage, buy vintage, buy vintage.
Right.
And I think a lot of kids have learned in this last cycle that are still in the game. I've met them at the last national for damn sure, and they're in my DMs right now. Everyone's being smarter in this boom. You agree with me, Clark?
100%.
This doesn't feel like people are not gambling as much outside of wax. I think people are getting their itch. And look, flippers are going to speculate rookies every time. And guess what? That's their business.
Yes.
Their business is short term. But I think a lot more people collect and flip instead of just flip. I think a lot of kids that came in to just flip got seduced by collecting. I was always flip collect. You know this, the big debate of flippers versus collectors. I think it always should be both. A lot of people became flippers because they needed money to collect. A lot of collectors that started to flip because they themselves got off the ideology of the purity of it and realized a regular job can't fully pay for their hopes and dreams. And I think not judging a flipper when you're a collector and not judging a collector when you're a flipper. When these flipper kids are like, oh, all these old guys with their old baseball, fuck you, man. They love this shit. And all these 60-year-olds are these fucking kids are helping you in a way that matters. And so, to me, I have love for every angle outside of people who are trying to do bad behaviors and try to hurt people, like counterfeit, stealing cases, or manipulating with bad intent. I think you're allowed to share your passions. A lot of people are about to become bigger personalities. They're going to go through what I went through, which is like at first you're just sharing your passions, and then all of a sudden you're an influencer, and you have to be careful because now all of a sudden when you say something about something, people are going to think you're manipulating. It's really hard. It's a hard thing in this world. But if you have good intent and you have long-term vision, you should be in a good place. But I do not view this as a boom. I view this as the new floor. And I think that's incredible. And you can smell it. It feels different than 19, 20, 21. It feels different than 03. Though that was a little bit more similar because that was pure LeBron. It feels different than Sosa McGuire. And it feels different than 86 to 93. It feels more like 85, 80. It feels more like 83, 84, 85, which led to 87 to 92. It's really nice. It's a new floor.
I love hearing that. And I agree with you. I feel like it's definitely feels more sustainable, and I'm bullish on it. And, I may be biased because I have this podcast and I'm doing it full time now, thanks in part to you, Gary. And I'll get to that in a second, why that is. But I know I only have 5 minutes with you, so I was wondering if I could just do a kind of rapid fire questions that I'm really interested in hearing your answers. First, what's on your personal Mount Rushmore of trading cards? You have to choose 4.
Jackie Leaf, rookie.
Yes.
61 Chamberlain. Clear. 1990 Frank Thomas Leaf, because that is like my childhood obsession card.
Right.
And probably the 1966 Donruss Spider-Man marble in a
Nice.
in a high grade.
High grade, yes. Great Mount Rushmore. All right. What do you think is undervalued or underrated in the hobby right now?
Fictional rookie cards. My friend, I'm telling you, I'm going to be right about this one. And this is not because I want it to be. It's because I watched for 4 years. And I'm at Comic-Con and I'm in different cultures besides trading cards. And I can see it because cards are now becoming more standard, like we're saying.
Yes.
I can see the nerds getting seduced where they stayed on Funko and comic books and figurines. I can see them being seduced. I can see it. I can see it.
Okay.
And once they get in on Topps Chrome,
Yeah.
that they're going to then get into what I said, the 1980 sticker of, Wolverine's rookie card and the 66 Marvel. Like, why would you spend the kind of money you're spending on a superfractor if Iron Man's superfractor is $50K, then what should Iron Man's first rookie card in 66 Marvel that barely exists out there graded?
Right.
It shouldn't be $80.
Yeah. It
I
should be
think
a
we
lot more.
start making those connections.
Yeah. And that's what I love about VFriends. It's rare that you get to be on ground level while it's happening, right? Like I know so many people that collect Pokemon cards and they're like, oh man, I wish I knew what I knew now in 1999. So I feel like VFriends, there's a parallel to that.
Look, it's audacious, maybe even obnoxious for me to be saying that that's my goal. You're talking about the most successful intellectual property of all time.
Right.
I do think, though, for the few that are listening that really do know me or follow me a long time, and definitely my friends and family, they know I'm not fucking around. And like, even if I get to 10% of Pokemon, well, then this is the moment and so, yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm really pumped about the blasters. I pushed heavy to have that SKU in our first year. It's a very long-term deal I've done with Topps. This is not MetaZoo. I'm not fucking MetaZoo. I know some good, I don't know who it is, but it sounds like some good people just bought the MetaZoo thing. So I wish them, like, that's the other thing. I root for everything. I root for MetaZoo. I root for the other IP. I root for the kid that's listening right now that's getting motivated by what I'm saying, who's going to use AI to create a universe and then one day have their trading cards. So I think it's and not or, but I'm telling you right now, I really think I'm going to pull this off.
I love it. I love your confidence. And two more.
Yeah.
Regular weekly segment we have on our podcast. It's called Pick One, and I try to make it challenging for whoever's playing.
Okay, good.
So on one side, you got the red refractor number to 5 of your favorite VFriends character. Okay, number to 5 red refractor. On the other side, knowing that your favorite color is green, your favorite number is 5, a green refractor of that VFriends character, but the serial number is 5 of 99. Which one would you choose?
Fuck. I would choose. Well, I would probably choose the 5 of 99 because you're right. For anybody who's listening, if you want to know why I love the number 5, please my Instagram, Gary Vee, and there's a video pinned at the top that says why I really want to buy the New York Jets. If you love your mom, or if you are a mom, warning, you're going to cry. So that's why I love the number 5. So I'm going to go with the 5 of 99. Plus, it's going to be for me personally, it'll probably be a better ROI price because that of 5 is going to be expensive.
Yes.
So I'll go with the 5 out of 99 green.
All right, and last, yes, and last one. Whenever we have a guest, I like to make our last question a little Canadian-centric since I am Canadian. So I always wanted to ask you, out of the thousands and thousands of cities in the world, you have one VFriends card and NFT that singles out just 2 cities. 1, St. Louis, and 2, of course, my hometown of Toronto, Canada. I was wondering if you could shed any light on why you chose Toronto to have the honor of being represented in the VFriends universe. And I want to show you this. Hope to get this signed by you one day.
I can't wait to get it signed up pretty close. By the way, brother, I'm going to be in Toronto a lot, so email me after this. Toronto's one of the cities that I want to build VFriends up most significantly.
Awesome.
So I plan on doing the shows up there in the coming months, years. I plan on doing pop-ups up there. So you and I need to connect. You and I need to connect. The answer is I can't tell you. There's some alpha on it, but I will say that it is because I care about Toronto.
Amazing.
And I will also say for you and anybody in Toronto that it is true. When I started to become quote unquote Gary Vee, aka travel a lot, speak, books, all that. I'm a New Yorker through and through. I'm a Jersey boy through and through, but I've really lived in New York now for, what are we talking about? 22 years, and it's in me, right?
Yeah.
I cannot explain to you the way I felt the first time I was in Toronto. I think it was like 2010, 11. I was like, oh my God, this is the first city that kind of feels like I like it.
Right.
I just was very snobby about how much I love New York. I'm a huge fan. And if, I can't wait to sign up for you personally and spend some more time with you.
Love it.
This is really going to be one of my great, in the same way that you probably feel excited that you now do this full time and you pinch yourself. Look, VaynerMedia, VaynerX, my advertising holding company, you're talking about a 2,500 person company that I started from scratch that's doing $350 million in revenue.
It's amazing.
It's a big company.
Yes.
Very proud of it. And it's really weird because most people just think I'm a motivational speaker. They have no idea that I operate.
Right. Yeah.
Vayner Sports, Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Emmett, Corey Sandhagen in UFC, Bo Bichette. We rep Bo Bichette.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Kirk. We rep two.
Alejandro. Yes.
Vayner Sports is the contract agent for Bo Bichette and A. Kirk. It's an incredible company that we have, that we're building one of the biggest sports agencies in the world. Winetex.com. If you buy wine on the internet in the US, go check it out. Building that for my dad. It's exploding. I'm doing a lot. The Gary Vee brand, all the things I'm doing, nothing is close to VeeFriends for me. It is going to be what I spend my life on. I'm going to pull it off. And I would love and be honored if a small percentage of the community listening became a collector. Here's why, let me tell you actually. Forget about the fact that I do believe if I do what I think I'm going to do, it's a nice little fun investment. It's actually super secondary to what you'll learn. You come to one of our whatnots anytime, you will be flabbergasted. And I think we all know this. In a world where, unfortunately, a substantial part of the internet is quite negative, this is one of the most positive places on earth. The community we built, the VeeFriends. Our slogan in VeeFriends is from strangers to acquaintances, acquaintances to friends, friends to family. I think a lot of you listening, especially if you're listening to Clark's podcast, you found a nice community in trading cards, right? It's like one of your favorite places, if not probably like for me, your favorite place of friends. I think there's something really going on at VeeFriends around this. And we have a huge contingency around the world. And I really think you'll find some of your best friends. And I think, actually this is now, let me go a little more narrow. I believe to be a great card flipper, businessman or woman, having more education of things helps. Like, I think my knowledge of, in fact, I'm starting to try to study upper deck hockey cards because I just want to understand everything. Because the more I understand, the more savvy I am. Right? I think VeeFriends, learning about how we're doing it, watching how we're doing it. We're also innovating a lot. Here's one, Clark. Here's a little fun one. I think we're going to innovate the Chrome product more than anybody ever. For example, in our Chrome product, in VeeFriends, there is a character in VeeFriends called Entrepreneur Elf.
Yep.
We have an insert called Entrepreneur Elf's Favorite Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And there's a Michael Rubin auto. Superfractor. There's me. There's Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins and related real estate.
Yeah.
There's Bobby Brown, the makeup artist. Ariana Huffington. There's Dana White from the UFC. There's Kevin Hart because he's really an entrepreneur.
Yep.
It's a massive, that kind of auto in Chrome. Are you nuts?
Love it.
There's that. Next, back to innovating. Here's the big one, I think. I created a one-of-one of every character for blasters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In the blasters, there's a blast off one-of-one. One-of-one of every character called a blast off. That's unheard of for a $25 retail blaster box.
Right.
To have a one-of-one.
That's true. Yeah.
Innovating.
I love it. Gary, I know we're over time, but I just want to say I appreciate all the content and the value you've been providing over the years, which has been a big help for me personally, not just in growing my business with all the practical social media tips and advice, but also, and I think maybe more importantly, the motivation and encouragement you gave me to really completely change my career and pursue what I'm doing now, which I love in my 40s, right? And I know you're big on that too. So Thank you. Thanks again, Gary, for your time.
an
And
honor.
hope to run into you in Toronto or FanFest or the National. We'll be there. And
You'll be both at Fanatics and National.
yes,
Well, please bring that little
I will to get it signed.
for you, and looking forward to hugging it out and talking about it. When is this podcast dropping?
This Friday.
Amazing. Well, please, I'll make sure to share it out. I wish you well. I wish everybody in Clark's community nothing but health, because you can't control that, unfortunately, but happiness, and fight for it. Choose, last saying, in life, you find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for negativity, if you're looking for bad, if you're looking for that, both in life and in the hobby, you can find that, right? We know that.
Yeah.
But you're looking for positivity and hope and happiness and good, you can find that. And obviously the listeners of that have found that in you, and keep doing that, because that makes life much better.
Gary, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.